everyone, and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Total Nonstop Racing League for the 3Y TV Cup, presented by Schue's Lawn Care Service. Tonight we're at the Talladega Super Speedway for the Stay Tuned Sports Comic Book Spectacular. It's going to be a wild one here tonight. I'm Peter Short, and alongside me, Mr. Superhero himself, Mitchell Adams. Mitchell, here in the booth once again. Welcome back. Great to have you up here. Looking forward to some Dega action tonight.
Yeah, it's great to be back here on 3Y TV. I feel like it's been a while, Peter, since you and me have gotten to sit up here and watch some racing, but I'm looking forward to it. Get to see all these comic book paint schemes out here on track tonight. Already seen some good ones here. I don't know, yeah, it's Talladega, so I picked a good race to jump up here in the broadcast booth for.
Yeah, always good to be here at Talladega. As you're seeing a couple of these drivers out there on the racetrack right now. Tristan Maher in the Eclipse Photography Ford Mustang that you see right there on track, currently fastest of all. Now, one thing that we will be doing here tonight as we got these paint schemes, these special schemes, is we'll be highlighting these schemes and keeping our eyes on the ones that we have that you get to vote on. There's one of those. That's Mike Floppy Tellier in the number 97. Of course, he's still got some titties on the side of that number 97, but he's got a Wolverine X-Men scheme. Of course, comic book was the theme, and you in the chat will be able to vote for your favorite. All you have to do at some point here tonight is say which one of the schemes for the comic book theme is your favorite. So that one and the number 97 being one of those. We're going to highlight several of those here tonight as these drivers work their way around the racetrack. But it's going to be a lot of fun here. Talladega, we always have to talk about the big one here. What do you expect to see here tonight? We got a 17-car field currently out there on the racetrack right now.
I think we're here. This is, I believe, the 10th race of the season, if what I'm looking at is right. So these drivers are at this point kind of familiar with each other. They know how each other are going to race. And so I feel like we can expect some pretty aggressive racing possibly early on. Of course, they could always prove me wrong, but I feel like a lot of these drivers very familiar with each other and they know who they work with. And at this kind of a racetrack, that usually results in some three-wide racing action.
Yeah, three-wide action here on 3Y TV. You absolutely love to see it when we do get that three-wide action. There is one of the drivers here tonight always making some noise. That is the number 75, driven by Joshua Sobel. Got Swamp Thing on the number 75. Don't adjust your screen. That's not out of Monster Jam. Kind of more akin to something you'd find on a Monster Jam truck, but a really legit-looking scheme. I mean, Swamp Thing there, I mean, that rivals Gravedigger schemes with its intricacy. I mean, look at all that intricacy on that number 75. Got a little bit of chrome there on it as well. I gotta say, that one definitely in the running for best scheme here tonight.
I think definitely has to be one of the front runners. It's way past my painting abilities, Peter. I don't know about you, but yeah, that's so detailed, Josh Sobel's race car here tonight. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great cars, but I'm still looking at that thing on the way around. There's so much going on.
Yeah, that car has a little bit of everything going on. That is for sure. Also, Bill Edwards, we got a quick look of the Guardians of the Galaxy scheme on the number 50. There he is, going to flash by the 3Y TV camera here on the front stretch, right between turns number 4 and the tri-oval. So some really, really good-looking paint schemes out there on the racetrack that you will be able to vote for in the chat. Of course, it was Jimbo Casterline, the number 18 machine, currently down there 17th on the scoring pylon, who has put up the money here tonight for the Stay Tuned Sports Comic Book Spectacular. He will be tallying up your votes in the chat. Johnny Williams saying good luck all, hello to the booth. Brantley Roden, Harpoon Design in the chat as well with a big smile. Brantley, I think you might have been a part of that Swamp Thing scheme that we're just talking very highly of, and if you were, hats off to you. Big round of applause from up here in the 3Y TV booth, that's for sure, as the clock continues to tick down. Just 7 seconds left here before we go to qualifying. But what do you think here tonight, Mitchell? Qualifying, do you think it's going to be important here at Talladega? It's mainly just bragging rights.
Yeah, qualifying never super important here when it comes to plate racing like Talladega. I think we'll definitely see some drivers go out here and try and take some time, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of drivers choose to not make a lap so they can start out back and kind of get the feel for the track. But that position on pit lane, it is always nice to have that first pit stall. We'll see who wants to make a go of it. Is that out on track, Peter? We got somebody already going out to start a lap.
Yeah, that was Bill Edwards. Here comes Vincent Valvano, the number 64 Bagcraft Ford Mustang, working his way out on to the racetrack as well. Got to be sure to keep those 4 tires below that yellow line. Otherwise, you will get a penalty here in qualifying. Here comes Kevin Stone. It looks like he's also got Wolverine on the number 14 scheme, so you might have Wolverine versus Wolverine at the end of tonight. There's a good look at that Ford Mustang working his way onto the racetrack. The number 14 trying to bounce back after last week at Sonoma Raceway. But he's working his way out there onto the racetrack right now. Gonna get up to speed. Takes a little bit for these Cup cars, and I really haven't driven these Cup cars at Talladega yet. How do they race, Mitchell? Have you been able to jump into these next-gen Cup cars here on a super speedway?
I've driven these cars at Talladega, or excuse me, Daytona. I haven't at Talladega. I know when I ran there, and that's been a little while ago, so I don't know how much updating iRacing has done, but it was really difficult to build up the runs, kind of. It was really easy to suck up to a car, but once you jumped out of line, it was really hard to keep the momentum going. So I'm curious to see how drivers are going to work together in the draft, because it's so important here managing the draft at a plate track like Talladega. And we'll see how much they choose to bunch up, or if they kind of go into more of a single file groove here tonight, as you see Kevin Stone working up almost 180 miles an hour down that back straightaway.
Yeah, trying to get that speed for lap number 2 when we expect to see him drop down to the inside of the racetrack. But already down there on the inside of the racetrack is Jimbo Casterline right here. 5th gear. He is pedal to the metal as he heads off towards turns number 3 and 4. Almost 180 miles an hour as well as he works his way off of turn number 4. He'll come to the line here in a little bit. You see some times already starting to trickle in on the 3-wide TV scoring pile there, left-hand side of your screen here in the 3-wide TV Cup qualifying. Round 10, like you mentioned there, Mitchell, here at Talladega Super Speedway. It was Philip Scott, winner last time out at the Sonoma Raceway just a week ago. Jake Bustos finishing in 2nd. I finished on the podium in 3rd. It was a very interesting race at the Sonoma Raceway with lots of topsy-turviness, people up and down the scoring pylon in that race, but ultimately Philip Scott able to take home the dub at the end of that one. But look, Jimbo Casterline, we're riding aboard with him right now, currently 2nd fastest of all, although Josh Sobel has just dethroned him up at the top of the board. We'll see if these drivers can turn faster laps on lap number 2, but currently things looking good for Jimbo.
And lap times at Talladega also always so tight on that scoring pylon. One little twitch of the wheel can be all it takes to move you down from 1st to 5th at a track like this. So very important to really hold a steady wheel, get that best line possible here in qualifying. And you said it right now, Josh Sobel sitting up on top of the charts by just 2/100ths of a second over Mike Floppy Tellier there in the 97 machine, but still a minute and a half left to go. We'll see if anyone can't knock that time out. There's still more drivers who could put a lap in if they wanted to.
Here's actually the only driver on racetrack right now up at speed, and that is the number 7, the Zorse Power machine. He might need a few more Zorses because currently Garrett Gleason is bottom of the scoring charts, 54.22 second lap. We just saw Philip Scott punch his way up onto the front row in the number 99 World Ninja League Ford Mustang. He is 2nd with a 53.69 to Josh Sobel's 53.68. Mike Tellier is currently in 3rd in his Wolverine paint scheme. But Josh Sobel, he wants that Swamp Thing on the front row for sure with that beautiful scheme. But let's see if Garrett Gleason can take, I don't think it's necessarily a comic book, but maybe it's a comic book. I don't know what that Zorse is all about. Seems like someone hand drew it, so I guess it categorized itself as a comic book. Might be a good laugh as Garrett Gleason comes to the line this time, and he bumps himself up into 11th. Right there, just over a tenth of a second off of the pole time, but as the clock continues to wind down, no one out there on the racetrack up at speed, so it will be Joshua Sobel, Philip Scott running out of your front row here at the Talladega Super Speedway.
Yep, qualifying getting wrapped up here. Had 13 drivers go out, take time here in qualifying, so 9 drivers did not, and we'll go through all your starting order here for tonight's race at Talladega here in just a moment. You see drivers start to get lined up behind that pace car on the front straightaway, and that Swamp Thing does look very good up front, doesn't it, Peter?
Oh yeah, it is one heck of a paint scheme, that is for sure. We'll get another look at it here in just a minute as these drivers start to get rolling. Joshua Sobel on the pole. Philip Scott will be starting alongside him in second. In third, yet to grid, that is the number 97 of Mike Floppy Tellier. He, of course, in another one of our comic book inspired schemes here tonight. He's got the Wolverine scheme on that car. Jamar Dubas will be rolling off from the outside of row number 2 in the number 28. Jimbo Casterline and Bill Edwards, couple of very similar looking schemes on row number 3 here tonight. There is the Stranger Things scheme on Jimbo Casterline, and right alongside him is that Guardians of the Galaxy number 50 right there. So he'll roll off in 6th here tonight. Tristan Thuggy Maher rolling off from the 7th position. The Eclipse Photography Machine, no special paint scheme on his, but alongside him is another special paint scheme here tonight. That is the number 14 machine of Kevin Stone, the Wolverine Ford Mustang. Good looking scheme right there. Rounding out our top 10 here tonight, behind him is Robert Tripp, number 35. Now, I'm not sure if that's a comic book or not. We'll get another look at that scheme here in a minute, but I don't know, maybe he'll be playing the wild card here tonight at Talladega, getting home possibly with a win. We'll see if that happens, or maybe he's going to go bust with those cards on the side. Just don't really know here at Talladega. And rolling off from the 10th position. Nope. Well, that's Mike Floppy Tellier. Not sure what he's doing. I was going to say rolling off from the 10th position is Matthew Rodriguez there at the 57.
And then starting in the 11th position is going to be Garrett Gleason in the number 7. Sheen starting in 12th, the 74 of Jake Bustos. In 13th, Vincent Valvano in the 64 car. Starting 14th, David Durand there in the outside lane. Jason Gracias going to start it from the 15th position. Andrew Beach is in the Marvel car here tonight. Thor on the side. There's another comic book car just that we're going to be taking a look at here tonight. Jeff Price in the number 39 machine rolls off from the 17th position. Steven Doziak starts in 18th. Bob Giaquinto is usually in my position up here in the booth. He starts 19th tonight. Then rounding out your 21 car field is going to be Keith Carbow in the 39, another comic car there for Keith. And then rounding out the field is Jason Schue in the number 3 machine.
And of course, some of these drivers electing to take a penalty or whatnot to get themselves starting at the back of the grid, but the iRacing pace car will be heading down onto pit road here momentarily on 3 Wide TV, folks. We want to hear who your favorite driver is here tonight. Garrett Gleason says he thinks he's accidentally in the wrong car. Garrett, I don't know if you're in the wrong car. That's what I have on my screen. Maybe I could refresh here in just a moment, but I'll tell you what, we're about to go green flag, and going to be a lot of fun here. I'll tell you what, Mitchell, for 60 laps on hand here at Talladega Super Speedway, 2.66 mile racetrack, and I think the big question is, when will we see the big one here tonight? Is the Swamp Thing, Joshua Sobel, will get us to the green flag here momentarily.
Yep, Josh Sobel leading him through that front tri-oval, waiting for that restart zone here at Talladega. That is in effect. There you see him there getting into that restart zone. Green flag waving in the air. We are racing at Talladega. Peters, Josh Sobel, good start on the inside, but doesn't have any help whatsoever. Philip Scott does, though, on the outside as they head off into 1.
That inside line just did not get going at all. Jimbo Casterline starting to drop further back through the field. Just did not get rolling, but not too big of a concern here at Talladega, as we got plenty of time for them to get rolling up at the front of the field. They all draft back together, that's for sure. Joshua Sobel continues to lead the race. Got Bill Edwards and the number 14 there, Kevin Stone, back behind him. We got 3 comic book schemes up at the front of the field right now. How about that? Sobel, Edwards, and Stone. Then Jamar Dumas. And behind Dumas, we got Tristan Dougie Maher drafting on through, but bad start for Philip Scott, the number 99. He's going to fall all the way back to 7th.
Yeah, not a great start there for Tristan Maher. Gonna try and make that position up. Of course, single filing out now toward the front of the field. You see all your race leaders. You're gonna look all the way back right now to the 35 of Robert Tripp, where you see side by side. So everyone here getting single filed out, and it is Josh Sobel leading the field down the back straightaway. Like you said, all those comic book cars getting up to the front here in the early going. Bill Edwards in second, Kevin Stone third, and right now you see the 5, David Durand, jumping up to the outside lane here, trying to get something going, but right now nobody wanting to go with him, and you see the 35 machine, Robert Tripp, there, the cards on that car. This is a good start for Robert Tripp, and you see him also working the outside lane kind of by himself. You see the 57 of Matthew Rodriguez kind of up in front of him, but right now a lot of drivers just testing out the outside kind of on their own.
Yeah, it looks like Robert Tripp going to form up there with the number 5, David Durand, and they will fall well back in the field. Robert Tripp now down to 19th position. There's the number 3 of Jason Schue, left-hand side of your screen, and they will pretty much get single filed. But towards the front, Matthew Rodriguez is the back of a 4-car train out there. Kevin Stone as well is leading that small group. He was, remember, 3rd after lap number 1. But, oh, man, lots of these drivers darting around all over the place. Mitchell, these cars don't look very stable right now.
They certainly don't. You see everyone jumping between lines. You see now the 17 of Tristan Dougie Maher shuffling out that car on the outside lane. I believe that's the 14, Kevin Stone. Yeah, they certainly all over the place. And you see them down there on that yellow line, coming up off the line, getting back down. And drivers early on definitely struggling to find the feel for those cars on board with Kevin Stone down the back straightaway. And see just how quickly he dropped from running up toward the front of this field, now down to well outside the top 10.
And look at this power move by the outside line. We're on board now with Philip Scott. As every time I'm with you, Mitchell, I have the tendency to click the button just as you're saying the driver's name that we're riding on board with. That is just the running joke that we have. I mean, I didn't do it intentional. I promise I didn't do it intentionally, but that's just what happens with you up here in the booth with me. I don't know. But anyway, we got that big charge on the outside line that last time halfway down the backstretch. It kind of petered out to nothing. Now Tristan Dougie Maher as, they get close. Oof. That's number 97 there, one of the Wolverine machines, driven by our good friend Mike Floppy Taylor. Now that outside line getting another good run down the back stretch. I don't know, Mitchell, that outside line maybe not looking 100% good just yet, but it's not looking terrible. They're getting some good runs down the back stretch. Maybe once they start side drafting, maybe that outside line might be a bit stronger, but for now, I don't blame them. They're leaving plenty of room to the inside line. Look, Jeff Price there, the Back Channel Productions, number 39, had a little moment there through the travel where he clipped the apron, just washed up the racetrack. I don't know if these cars may be bottoming out or something with this setup, but nonetheless, they just don't look as stable as I have seen cars here at Talladega in the past. Now Jason Gracias will be picked up by Tristan Dougie Maher. Big shot out of the number 17 machine. Let's see what Gracias can do. Let's see if he can draw level with Sobel and Edwards, who have been locked nose to tail since the drop of the green flag, essentially.
Yeah, those cars up front, Josh Sobel, Bill Edwards, done a great job controlling the pace of this race so far from that inside lane, but you see more and more cars now starting to jump up into that outside lane, and that usually creates more momentum up there as you see Jason Gracias slowly creeping closer to the front of the field, now side by side almost with Josh Sobel as they cross the start-finish line that time. Into one, it is nose to nose. A great push coming from Tristan Maher there in the outside lane. Jason Gracias actually going to get able to slide down in front of Josh Sobel now through turns 1 and 2. So new race leader for the first time this race, Jason Gracias, but it might not last long because look at the run the outside's getting again here, Peter.
Yeah, but as they get toward, I was about to say, as they get toward turn number 3, that outside line just started to fade away a little bit. Then Josh Sobel marched up the racetrack in the Swamp Thing, kind of coming out of the depths of the turn 3 swamp, and almost snagged the number 17 of Maher. But here comes that outside line again with the big push up to the front, but not able to dethrone Jason Gracias at the line. So Jason will lead the lap. But Maher again getting a big push. That's the number 99 behind him. That's Philip Scott. Then you got Garrett Gleason, who's just become a little bit detached. And then behind Garrett Gleason, you got the two Wolverines duking it out on that high line. Now down the backstretch, Maher getting a big push again from the number 99. I really like the run that outside line is now getting on that high line. I mentioned it kind of earlier. I just don't think they had enough numbers on that high line. But Mitchell, things looking really strong right now on that outside groove, especially down the straightaways. I think Maher's going to clear the one of Gracias here. Now, the question is he going to come down across his nose and try and hold on to that spot? No, at least not for now. But I think Maher will be a new race leader this time by.
Yeah, Tristan Maher easily going to lead that lap as you see him slot down now in front of Jason Gracias. Really, that outside lane, you're exactly right. Seems to be exactly where that speed is as you see Jason Gracias go way back up to that outside lane. He's actually going to get shuffled out now. Philip Scott jumps to the middle, but you're exactly right. Way more cars up there, and I don't think the inside is as formed up as they would like to be either. They're leaving more of a gap than the outside lane is. Of course, that kind of shuffled up the outside lane when Jason Gracias jumped up, and you see now how much momentum they lost here and how many cars jump ship back to the inside. But I think from the speed we saw there in that initial 10 laps, I think a lot of drivers are going to be more willing to jump into that outside lane. But you see now kind of settling back in on the low line. Only a matter of time before drivers want to go up and test that again.
And of course, we have to talk about the one and only stage caution. Comes out at the completion of lap number 15 here tonight. So once we get past lap number 15, start lap number 16, that is when the caution flag will fly. Top 8 drivers in the scoring do pick up points. But definitely something to keep our eyes on because the action will continue to heat up. There's Garrett Gleason, a little bit further back in the pack, just outside the top 8, running in 11th. Still plenty of time for him. But now we got the Wolverines here, that outside groove, trying to pick up the pieces where it all kind of fell apart. Now it's going to fall apart a little bit more as the 14 Kevin Stone drops to the inside right in front of the number 23 machine of Bob Giaquinto. And let's talk about Bob because MEJ13 in the chat voted for the number 23 machine as our best comic book scheme. Let's take a look at the number 23 machine right there, the Legends of Vox Machina on that machine. Pretty cool to see Bob sporting a special paint scheme here for the comic book night on 3 Wide TV, usually up here in the booth, right where Mitchell is. But Mitchell, great to have you up in the booth as well. And of course, right there on his deck lid, that is the tabletop trio on his rear deck lid. And in fact, right now, if you go on to Twitch and you look up tabletop trio on Twitch, you can actually get Bob Giaquinto's onboard camera for tonight's race in that number 23 machine. So go check them out. Go check them as well. Give them a follow on Twitch. Tabletop Trio is very cool. Brantley Roden voting for the number 75. Johnny Williams also voting for the number 75, as well as Joey Ramirez. So votes now starting to trickle in the chat. They will be kind of all pulled after the race tonight. YouTube does take a log of the chat, so as you post, that chat log will be developed, and of course your vote will then be tallied after the event, after the conclusion of the event here tonight. As Garrett Gleason there might have got a little bit of a nudge from the number 97, but I'm seeing this field really broken up right now. Not sure if while I've been watching things and been mentioning things, maybe I missed something. But this group back here, I think they've had enough of that front pack. They know the stage caution's coming out here. Mitchell, no point getting caught up in a big wreck here early.
Yeah, definitely playing it safe here where you just have 2 laps until that stage caution. Of course, right now up front, it's not too much different. They're also running more single-filed out. You see Jason Graphix there. It's been leading laps earlier in this race. He's now back running 12th. He drove from 15th starting position all the way up to the lead of this race. Now back again for Jason Graphix. But again, looking back up here at the front, it's still the 17 Tristan Thuggy Maher being pushed by Josh Sobel, and you see Matthew Rodriguez and Mike Floppy Tellier back there trying to get the outside lane going, but not quite organized up there. 2 laps to go in the stage. I like where Tristan Maher sitting up here at the front of the field. And a couple comic book cars back behind him. Jamar Dumas also sitting in 4th there, and Jason Schue also up inside the top 5 now as Matthew Rodriguez all alone in the outside lane. And in fact, these top 3 starting to break away just a little bit, Peter. I know it won't stay that way, but there's a little bit of a gap back there to Jamar Dumas. They've got to watch out because that 28 could have a big run coming here as they come to take the white flag in the stage.
Yeah, last lap of the one and only stage that we have here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. If you've been watching all season long, you know that they only do one stage, and quite often that's the only caution we see all night long. Maher, Sobel, and Edwards, of course, the number 75 of Sobel there trying to pick up where he left off. We saw one driver go off the racetrack, and it's Bob Giaquinto it is. He says, you know what, y'all go race for these stage points. He's not in the championship by any means, so he's just says, you know what, if you guys go get involved in a wreck, that's on you. As coming out of turn number 4, coming to the, I don't know, what do you call it, the green checkered flag? I don't know what they call it these days, but the stage end, Sobel pulls a move, pulls the double move, goes down to the yellow line, and Sobel with a big move right at the end is gonna win the stage. What a great run there. Caution flag is out. My oh my, what a great ending to that stage.
Definitely great stage finish. 3 wide crossing the line. Jamar Dumas tried to make the move there, but didn't have enough time to make that one happen. We're going to dial it up here on your 3 wide TV replay, but it is Josh Sobel by 5/100ths of a second picking up your stage win here tonight at Talladega.
Watch this. He does that kind of leans to the high side and cuts back underneath. Just a textbook move here at Talladega Super Speedway. Tristan Thuggy Maher, nothing he could have done. In fact, Maher might have even lost the second position there to Bill Edwards. Not exactly sure what it was like there at the line. Jamar Dumas was coming in quick in the Stay Tuned Sports Machine. But a fantastic way to end stage number 1 here. Clean and green through the opening 15 laps here at the Talladega Super Speedway. As we go back to live scenes here. They are live scenes, I promise, as they're trying to catch the pace car, I believe. Who knows where that pace car is? You never really know. That iRacing pace car has a mind of its own, doesn't it, Mitchell?
Yeah, it sometimes does whatever it wants to do. I've seen that iRacing pace car do some weird things in my day. I'm sure you have too from up here atop the broadcast booth. Josh Sobel almost caught up to it now, headed into turn 3. In the swamp thing, picking up the stage. Started on the pole as well, so not a bad start to today's race for Josh Sobel in the 75, but we just saw a lot of speed coming from a lot of different cars. That's what we expect at Talladega, Peter. A lot of drivers get up here, lead laps, and run up front. Then just like that, they find themselves toward the back of the field. Just look at Jason Graphix again. Led quite a few laps. He now finds himself back in the 20th position, so things can change in a heartbeat here at Talladega as we expect most of our leaders down pit road here just momentarily.
Yeah, all the field heading down onto pit lane, coming to their pit crew. Mitchell, you know, we have a caution flag here. I think I would probably take this opportunity to go with 4 fresh tires since we're under caution. What about you? I mean, under green flag conditions, definitely 2 tires, but since we got the opportunity here to take 4, I think that's what I'd be doing.
I agree with you. That's always been my strategy here at Talladega. If you get a caution, take 4 tires because you don't want to waste the time under green flag taking all 4 tires when you really don't need to at a track like this. So I definitely expect most of your leaders to make that call. As you see, that race off pit road was pretty close there between Tristan Thuggy Maher and Bill Edwards. I think Edwards got the best of that exchange. Not quite sure, but looks like pretty clean in and out of pit road for all your leaders here. And it is going to be Garrett Gleason, it looks like, actually out in the front of this field. Maybe Jason Gracias with him here, Peter.
Yeah, Garrett Gleason did not come down pit road, but then you had a couple of 2-tire takers. The number 1 machine of Jason Gracias, one of those TTT drivers, 2-tire takers. Also in the 2-tire taker brigade was Joshua Sobel and Jamar Dumas, Bill Edwards' first driver off pit lane, who took 4. Jeff Price, Andrew Beach, and Vincent Valvano also elected to take 2 tires on pit road here under lap number 17 as first caution flag of the night waves. Hopefully the only caution flag that we have here at Talladega Super Speedway, since these laps are rather excruciatingly long, but we got a lot of votes coming in for the Swamp Thing. The number 75 of Joshua Sobel definitely seems to be the overwhelming favorite, at least for right now. Let's take a look at that Swamp Thing machine right there through the haze here. It tends to be fairly humid in Alabama. Of course, Talladega, not necessarily located too close to the coast, but nonetheless, Alabama does tend to be on the more humid side, causing quite a bit of haze. But there is that Swamp Thing machine, and sure enough, that is one really, really hot-looking ride. In fact, we got some really good paint schemes in the field here tonight. How about Bill Edwards in his Guardians of the Galaxy scheme? That one is from front to back, wrapped in Marvel goodness right there. A little bit further back in the pack, we got some other drivers. We got Kevin Stone, of course, there in the number 14 machine. Right back behind him, that's Jimbo Casterline. We got a lot of takers on pit road coming down. I can only think they're just on the edge of their pit window here, Mitchell, coming down, maybe get some extra fuel under this caution flag. But pretty much half the field came down pit road again to top off with Sunoco Racing Fuel.
Yeah, I think why not at this point in the race? Still not even halfway to the finish, and if you're gonna take a little extra fuel, it could play to your advantage later, and we see how quickly the runs can come and go. So you might find yourself in just 5 laps up back at the front of the field here as you look at all your takers down pit road. But that pace car does have its lights off, so getting ready to restart this race after the stage break here. We'll see what kind of racing these drivers put on. There is that 23 of Bob Giaquinto there down pit road. Having a pretty good night here at Talladega. Slowly but surely making his way up through the field. There's the 29 machine as well. Let me pull up my list of numbers. That's Keith Carbow in the 29. Another comic book scheme on him. Looks like, well, actually, maybe not. I think I'm wrong. It's the Book of Boba Fett. Would you call that comic book? No, I don't know. What's your judgment there, Peter?
I haven't seen him in that car yet this season. And, you know, there's probably, I mean, there's a Star Wars everything, Mitchell, so I'm sure there's some Star Wars comic book out there. Now, as for that one specifically, I mean, it does have Disney Plus on the side, so I can only think that's a tie-in with Disney Plus. But, you know, there's got to be a Star Wars comic book of some sort. So, you know, it probably somewhat applies. But he's back there in that number 29 machine. Wanted to highlight that scheme as well as the G.I. Joe machine. Just a couple of cars up in front. That's Jake Bustos in the number 74 Chevrolet. But the field starting to get lined up. Pace car heading down pit road. Joshua Sobel in the Swamp Thing, right where he was at the beginning of the race. Up at the front, got Bill Edwards right back behind him, and it's like we didn't have a caution flag at all because those two have been nose to tail all night. Green flag waves again, and oh, Bill Edwards just got a terrible restart. Look at that, dropping like a stone at the number 88 of Andrew Beach. He's a player now. Look at that number 88. I don't think I've seen that scheme kind of all night long. He does have, I guess, Thor on the side there, but a good-looking scheme. I'm not sure if he has another scheme on the, maybe another comic on the other side. It does. He's got that constraint on the right-hand side and Thor on the left-hand side. Very cool there, Andrew, as we're thinking about 4 wide on 3 wide TV. How about that? As they're trying to sort things out after this restart, Andrew Beach says, you know what, I'm just going to drop to the back. But up at the front of the field, new race leader. It's the number 28 machine right there of Jamar Dumas. Stay Tuned Sports on the hood. And great to say, Stay Tuned Sports here, one of our sponsors on 3 Wide TV. Of course, the NFL is back. And if you want to listen to the Stay Tuned Sports podcast, I'm sure enough you can. There's a link to their Podbean in the description of the video. But so far, clean and green here tonight, with the only exception being the stage caution on lap number 15. But that's it for stage cautions. We could go all the way to the end of the race. Green flag here. Mitchell, what do you think our chances are?
I have to say, probably not that high, being that we are at Talladega, and we've talked about all night. It's more of a when the big one is going to happen here. So I think we're definitely not out of the cautions yet, or we're definitely not a high chance, I guess, of staying. Green flag is these drivers certainly trying to prove that point. As you see, Tristan Macher made the move up to the race lead. Bill Edwards stuck there on the outside, and 3 wide here, a little back further in the pack. That's the 97 of Mike Floppy Tellier up in the middle of 3 wide now, jumping up to the outside lane, and Bill Edwards finds himself now in the little chute in the middle of 3 wide. Not a fun place to be when you don't have any help. Is stuck there in that middle lane. They're still sorting themselves out here as well. So there goes Bob Giacchito making the move up around the outside lane, moving himself up a little bit further toward the front. Now getting back into the middle.
Sorry about that, folks. Might have just had a little bit of connection issues. Bear with us just 1 second here on 3 Wide TV. All right, there we go. I think we're back. Mitchell, you got me?
Yeah, I got you, Peter. You got me?
Yes, I do. Yeah, sorry. I need a new cable, a new USB cable. You know how you get that USB cable that just slowly goes faulty over time? Well, that's unfortunately what's been happening with one of my USB cables. It's slowly going faulty. I probably just need a new headset. Probably need to start working on that here, but when I do it, it causes me to have to restart my whole audio system. It's just, you know, the joys of streaming, or lack thereof. But nonetheless, up at the front of the field, we got a couple of comic book machines battling it out. Look at the number 5 machine. That's David Durand, not one of our comic book machines, but he's got that Terry Labonte throwback. In fact, I was reading an article about Terry Labonte, the Iceman, as he used to be known today, and he's supposedly doing quite well, bouncing back and forth between Texas and North Carolina in his spare time, and pretty cool to hear from him as he's stepped out of the limelight now for quite some time after retiring in the mid-2000s from NASCAR, the 2-time NASCAR Series champion. But, that number 5 plays homage to a scheme that was very familiar with me growing up. I had a Terry Labonte poster in my bedroom growing up, so whenever I see that Kellogg scheme, I always think that has a special place in my heart. So at number 5 right now, up in second, and still running behind that Swamp Thing, which is kind of a tough car to pass, it seems like, and no one wants to get in front of the Swamp Thing. Maybe they think that they're scared of it. I don't know. So what do you think?
I think I'd be scared of the Swamp Thing if I had to run right behind it. I don't know that I'd want to test out what Josh Sobel might do behind the wheel of that car, but certainly drivers looking to take it away from him. Matthew Rodriguez trying to get the outside lane going with Jason Gracias. They run around the 6th place position on the racetrack. You see him there, and the 5 of David Durand not really leaving the bumper of Josh Sobel, giving him a lot of pushes around this racetrack. Gotta keep an eye on him because he might start to overheat if he keeps it up. I don't know how prone these cars are to that, Peter, but I know from other cars I've driven around here, that's always something you have to keep in mind. Speaking of wanting to get to the front, Bob Giacchito thought about jumping up to the outside lane there. He might still do it. He's running up in the 4th position right now, so good progression here for Bob. He started way back in the 19th position, so making quick work of this field. And there you see him now jumping up to the outside lane, trying to get picked up by Matthew Rodriguez there in the outside lane. But, oh, they're going to stack up a little bit out of turn 2 as well. That kind of killed a little of the momentum, but still making a little bit of headway down the back straightaway.
Yeah, trying to get their way up towards the front. Meanwhile, 2 drivers have dropped out of the main, 3 drivers actually have dropped out of the main draft. Those 3 drivers being Keith Carball in the number 29 machine, Garrett Gleason, and Jimbo Casterline. Those drivers potentially in danger of going a lap down if they do not get a caution flag here at the Talladega Superspeedway. But still plenty of time to go, 35 laps, and we go briefly 3 wide on 3 wide TV, at least until the 23 of Bob Giaquinto can drop down to the inside of the racetrack. Up in front of him, Philip Scott. Mitchell, we saw that number 99 machine a little while ago, kind of using that high line. He was up there with the number 17, Tristan Tuggy-Maher, and they just kind of pushed themselves up to the front. Well, now he's starting to get a little bit more help. Here comes the number 97 there. That is Mike Floppy Tellier, third car in line, sporting his Wolverine scheme that you can vote on as your favorite comic book scheme in the chat. The number 1 machine, Jason Gracias, is the meat in that sandwich as he trying to push the 99 forward, just not quite able to do so just yet. Needs, I think, a couple of additional cars on that high line. What you think, Mitchell? It seems like that high line can be good, but all the numbers right now are glued to that yellow line.
Yeah, that's what we saw earlier in the race, too, is as soon as more cars jumped up into that outside lane, it really started pushing forward toward the front of the field, as you saw. Oh, big wiggle out in the back of the pack. Who is that? The 35 maybe of Robert Tripp? No, the 23, Bob Giaquinto, went for a ride down toward the infield wall. He caught it, but you see him there, as well as, I believe, the 74 of Jake Bustos. They bout wrecked down the back straightaway. We're going to dial that up here on the 3 wide TV replay and see what led to that, because there's definitely some contact coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, ooh, they kind of got stacked up in front of him, and I think Bob just had to slow up to avoid running into the back of the number 3 machine right there, Jason Schue, and did a stellar job of keeping it pointed in the right direction. That will not be good news for the number 23, as he's now all by his lonesome, with the exception of Jake Bustos behind him. Hopefully that group can get formed up, maybe just a little bit with some of the other drivers that have lost the lead pack, like Keith Carball and Garrett Gleason, and kind of hold on to that lead lap. Meanwhile, up towards the front of the field, still single file, still Joshua Sobel leading the number 5, David Durand. Then third is Tristan Tuggy-Maher, then Philip Scott, who's able to get himself using that high line now solidly inside the top 5. Jamar Dumas, Jason Schue, Mike Tellier, Vincent Valvano, Kevin Stone, and Matthew Rodriguez, our current top 10 here at the Talladega Superspeedway. We close in on the halfway mark, just 1 lap away from the cross flags here at Talladega. You see how that back half of the field now really started to get spread out. Stephen Doziak Jr. also now appears to have lost the main draft. Robert Tripp in the number 35, he's suspect of losing that front pack. Here he is on board with the number 35. You see that pack? Yeah, I think they're disappearing off into the distance. I think that's bad news if you're a fan of the number 35 machine. And sure enough, he has lost the main pack. Our front pack now dwindles down to just 14 drivers here, as we'll see the cross flags this time by. But the big question I think we're going to see, Mitchell, is that with all those drivers coming back down pit road under that one and only stage caution that we had here tonight, might this race become a fuel mileage race?
I think it's possible. I know 40 laps is a long time to go here at Talladega, but I think if they came down to pit knowing that they'd be close, I think we could start to see drivers back off to try and save more fuel. But right now, with the way this pack's running, Peter, they're really side by side pushing really hard. I don't see a lot of fuel saving going on here in this lead pack. That might be why some of the other cars dropped out of the pack. Like you said, we've starting to lose more and more. 14 cars now of the 21 in this field running here in the lead pack, and you see them all here side by side all the way through this lead pack, and it's still Josh Sobel, but Mike Tellier has been working to get that outside lane going, Peter. So is Jason Gracias, who's up there, second car in the outside, and they're finally starting to get that going, and they've got a lot of help now, about even, slightly more cars in the inside lane, but really evened out between the two, and you see how much that outside lane gets the momentum going here as Mike Tellier with the big push coming from Jason Gracias. He's going to clear Sobel down the back straightaway.
So finally, Josh Sobel dethroned up at the top of the leaderboard. Here comes Jason Gracias looking to the inside in the number 1 MaxGraphics.co Chevrolet. He doesn't have any help as Bill Edwards, who's worked his way back up to the top 2 now. Seems like he has been number 2, the bridesmaid, so far tonight at Talladega as we work on by the start-finish line to complete our 32nd of the 60 scheduled here tonight. There's the number 17, peeking as no seen inside. That's Tristan Thuggy Maher, the Eclipse Photography Ford Mustang. But for right now, that high line still continues to have numbers as Vincent Valvano, the Bagcraft 64, ducks down to the inside, trying to pick up the 17 of Maher. Now all of a sudden, here comes Matthew Rodriguez looking for the race lead. Typically, you see Matthew Rodriguez working with Mike Floppy Tellier. Well, not in this instance, as all of a sudden, the outside line, the 3 comic book schemes up there, the Wolverine 97 of Tellier, the Guardians of the Galaxy number 50 of Edwards, and then the Swamp Thing machine of Joshua Sobel there. Oh, contact in the back. Vincent Valvano is in the inside wall. Oh, there's the cone, and caution flag is out for the second time here tonight.
Yeah, big impact with that infield wall there for the 64. Other drivers went down with him too. Not a single car instant. I think it was Tristan Maher. We'll see though on this 3-wide TV replay. Yeah, you see the 17 make contact with the 64, just kind of going for the same real estate on track. And Tristan Maher is going to get a huge piece of that infield wall there.
You know, all things considered, Mitchell, that could have been a lot worse for those 2 drivers. Let's see if we can get another quick look at that one here on this let's get another angle of this one. Let's try this angle right here. But it seemed like all of a sudden, oh man, that's a pretty good lick for both of those drivers. It could have been worse, but nonetheless, a pretty good lick. Now, those drivers that were a little bit further back in the pack, they're going to be very happy because of all this mess, because I'll tell you what, there we go, we're inside the roll bar of Vincent Valvano's machine. Speak about a roll bar cam. They just became a little bit detached, and you see a little bit of front end damage on the Valvano's Ford. That's a tough break for him. Let's see if we can get maybe one more look on board our, let's see if we can do the gearbox cam. Look right here. They become detached. Look, Valvano goes up the racetrack. Somehow Maher goes, I don't know if he goes below the yellow line or not, but there's definitely contact there, and that's enough to put the number 64 into the inside. Bam! Just like that. And hopefully Valvano is able to recover. But for those drivers that were a little bit off the lead pack, Mitchell, this is a godsend. They can now rejoin the front pack, everyone down pit road right now, and they can fight things out for the win.
Yeah, that is going to bring all your back together. And I think for those 2 who even got involved in the wreck, they could have made much harder contact than they did. I'll be curious to see if Vincent Valvano and Tristan Thuggy Maher are able to keep up with the pack, because every little bit of damage hurts here at Talladega. There's 3 wide out of pit road. Maybe it wasn't quite 3 wide, but good races off pit road, and looking to see how the strategy is going to unfold here as they exit pit road. Got a couple drivers sitting down there still taking some repairs, but out front it is Matthew Rodriguez. You see him there on your screen, so not much really changing for the 57. We haven't seen too much of him up front here today, although I have seen a lot of him before here on 3Y TV. Matthew Rodriguez knows how to drive these plate tracks.
Yeah, he absolutely does know how to get things done here on the plate tracks. I think one of the first ever Super Speedway League races I ever broadcasted, this guy went on an absolute tear. Not only the first race, but I think he won like 3 races in a row that particular season, and that was over at the National Sim Racing Association League. So he knows how to get the job done. He if you ask him, he's like, you know what, I don't know what it is about these super speedways. He went on that little win streak, and he's like, man, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing things right. But he's one of those drivers that usually languishes back a little bit, Mitchell. He's usually not up there at the front until it's go time, tries to preserve the race car. Here tonight, seems like he's all gung-ho, trying to get up there to try and get the win and stay in front of the potential big accident that we expect to see at some point tonight.
And it's been a relatively clean race here so far, too. We saw Bob Giacchino get down the track, but they kept it clean there. And that first caution we just had with Vincent Valvano and Tristan Thuggy Maher, that's the first caution we've had for Collis all night long. As you see, all your leaders now, again, back down pit road, Peter. That leads me to think now this time they definitely be right on the edge of that fuel window, because basically everyone back down pit road again here to top off on fuel.
Yeah, a bit interesting. I just kind of doing the math in my head. We had a whole bunch of drivers come down pit road at around 42 laps to go. 42 laps divided by 2, that was 21 laps. We kind of thought it might have been a fuel mileage race at that point, but that would kind of indicate to me that these drivers probably only have about 20-25 laps of fuel, somewhere in that range. So this could be interesting if we don't get another caution flag. Now, chances are we will get another caution flag, no doubt, here at Talladega Super Speedway. Not all too many races with only 2 or 3 cautions here at Dega. I've seen it before. I've seen it happen, Mitchell, but it's a pretty rare occurrence, and it usually requires you getting to that first green flag pit stop, which we did not get to here tonight. So I'm expecting now to see probably another caution flag or 2 here in the closing 25 laps.
I also kind of expect to see that here, Peter, because this is when that aggression really going to start to ramp up, because we're past the halfway point in this race now. So drivers going to be getting more antsy to get themselves up toward the front of the field. Of course, now Jason Gracias finds himself back up here at the front of the pack. Kind of been come and go night for Jason Gracias. We've seen him up here at the front, then he kind of falls back to the back, and then he's back up at the front, then back in the back again, and here he finds himself once again back up at the front with Mr. Stay Tuned Sports, Jimbo Casterline here, running up to his outside here. And this is the Stay Tuned Sports Comic Book Spectacular, so love to see Jimbo running up here toward the front, about the halfway point. And then it's Matthew Rodriguez, who's been leading of late. And then that pace car going back down pit road. More of a single file restart here because of everyone going back down pit road, Peter. A little more unconventional. I don't think Jimbo's in the best of spots here on this one.
Yeah, poor old Jimbo is, well, he's a kind of a stranger thing out there. He's in the upside down. Hopefully he doesn't end upside down, as he does not get on the loud pedal. One machine of Jason Gracias does, and he will lead us now pretty much single file as we race off towards turn number 1. Do want to mention in the chat that we have quite a bit of activity going on. Johnny Williams said, sure enough, that there were Star Wars comics, so we'll allow that Boba Fett entry back there. Meanwhile, some good racing back here. There's Jimbo Casterline. He's dropped well back in the pack, being passed now by Jamar Dumas, and that's the number 14 of Kevin Stone. This pack going to have to really hustle, though, if they want to keep with that front pack, as they're already about a second, 1.7 seconds behind that main pack already here, and they're just not getting up to speed very well. Ryder Lee Angle saying, let's go number 99. Philip Scott, Mitchell Rogers voting for Bill Edwards, the Windsors as well. Will Ratcliffe saying, Mitchell Adams in the wild, happy to see it. Yeah, great to have you back up here in the 3-wide TV booth, Mitchell. It has been a while. Jonathan Smith voted for the number 75 of Joshua Sobel, currently riding in the 3rd position, as the front pack snakes down the backstretch. We got Pearl Rankin voting for the number 23 of Bob Giacchino. And Brantley Roden answering our question, Mitchell. Thank you very much, Brantley. Saying that they're getting right around 20 laps on the tank. So if that's true, we're looking at still these drivers needing one more pit stop to make it to the checkered flag here tonight. That could be very interesting. And a calm mental relaxation, voting for the number 75 as well. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, exactly right. A green flag pit stop coming in about 5 laps short on field. That could really shake up the strategies here late. And of course, we see him quickly single filing out now, Peter. That usually indicates drivers just wanting to ride in line and save some fuel. So I think that's what we're going to start to see here for the time being. But it took no time whatsoever for 2 packs to already get formed up. You see Jamar Dumas. We looked at him earlier. He's leading a second group of cars here behind your lead pack. And Jason Grassi is trying to get that far outside lane going up by the wall. Haven't seen that yet tonight. Him and Matthew Rodriguez run a tandem up in the outside groove. And then it's Philip Scott way down there in the inside lane. And I believe the 75, the Stranger Thing, starting to creep up there as well on the outside lane. It would make it even more interesting if the field got dragged up to the wall here.
Yeah, everyone now on the top side of the racetrack. That's an interesting technique. You know, it's the longest way around the racetrack. You burn the most fuel up there as well, as you keep the RPMs up the most. But maybe they're allowing that second pack to try and close in, led by Jamar Dumas, Kevin Stone, Bob Giaquinto, and our good friend Garrett Gleason. Remember, if you want to ride on board with the number 23 machine, go check out Twitch, and more specifically the Tabletop Trio Twitch channel. That's a Tabletop Trio, all one word. Trio like a group of 3. And Tabletop Trio is where you'll find Bob Giaquinto's on board here tonight on 3YTV, as he usually is, but on Twitch. So definitely go check that out if you're watching here tonight, as he tries to work his way back up through the pack. But yeah, that backpack has definitely caught the front group, so we're up to now a 16-car front group. Robert Tripp, Keith Carball, and Jimbo Casterline and Vincent Valvano all a little bit further back. And I believe the one driver that you do not see there on the left-hand side of your screen, unfortunately, is the number 17 machine of Tristan Maher, who is still off the racetrack many, many laps down after that accident just a little while ago. But Bob, 19, or not Bob, man, Mitchell, 19 laps. I'm used to Bob being back up here in the booth with me, but 19 laps to go this time, Mitchell.
Yeah, 19 laps to go here, Peter, and it's still Jason Grassi's leading the outside lane, but we see that inside lane's trying to start to come back now a little bit further back in the pack. Jamar Dumas was down there. He's jumped up now, but it is Kevin Stone there in the 14 machine leading a group down on the inside lane. We'll see if they can get a little speed going. So there's quite a few cars down in the inside lane. As you see, though, Kevin Stone jumps right up into the outside lane as soon as I say that. They like to prove me wrong. I feel like that's something that always happens to me. It doesn't even matter what booth I'm in. As soon as I say something, they do the opposite. But here we go, Peter. Cars making green flag pit stops, including Kevin Stone getting in a little bit hot. Can he get that woe down? Yes, he will, it looks like. But that kind of answers our question about fuel, Peter. They are going to have to make green flag stops, and they are starting right now.
Yeah, this will put them in the window of making it to the end of the race. And the good news is that if this group of drivers can stay together, Kevin Stone, not in his in his box, he's going to have to back up quite considerably. You see Jamar Dumas already rolling away, Garrett Gleason as well. That is the one thing you did not want to do. You did not want to miss your pit box. But it seems like he might be able to come out with a couple of buddies. I think that's the number 29, Keith Carball, at the back there. That might be the saving grace for the number 14 to Kevin Stone. But I was just about to mention, because I had not driven these cup cars, these next-gen cup cars, until last week on Monday night when we raced at Sonoma Raceway. I was amazed at how much their brakes sucked getting to pit road. They just do not want to stop at low speeds. And I overshot my pit box on the one and only pit stop that I did make in that race. Here comes Jimbo Casterline staying down below that yellow line. He's trying to merge up, kind of indicating to that pack the G.I. Joe machine there. Jake Busa says, you know what, he's trying to merge back up, but he will join the front group, hopefully, and kind of draft up with them. Not sure if he will be able to, but currently Jimbo Casterline being shown 1 lap down. Robert Tripp also being shown 1 lap down, but unfortunately for the number 35, Mitchell, pit road speeding violation for Robert Tripp. So that's bad news for the number 35. Finds himself 1 lap down, being scored in the 20th position, and the last driver still running here tonight is Vincent Valvano, about to fall 1 lap down. He just came down and made that pit stop a moment ago, but he is in the lucky dog position. So the 64 there, Valvano, just hoping to see a caution flag here shortly.
Yeah, maybe you'll get one here when your leaders do come down pit road. A lot of cars yet to make that green flag pit stop, and you're exactly right. I do, in my one race in these cars as well at Daytona, getting to pit road was probably the most difficult part of this race. Of course, for me, getting to pit road is always the most difficult part. It doesn't really matter what car or track I'm in, but that is definitely a challenge, and probably harder than Sonoma too, because super speedway brakes notoriously worse than the brakes you'd find on a short track or a road course. These cars not meant to hit that brake pedal. They're meant to go around here at 180 miles an hour flat out on the gas. So that always makes it more of a challenge here at these types of racetracks. But right now, Jason Grossi is sitting solidly up at the front of the field. The stranger thing pushing him around though, Josh Sobel. You see them working past a lap car here momentarily, trying to, I believe that's Kevin Stone. They're going to pass here in just a second up in the outside lane. The Wolverine car not having the best run of things here during these green flag pit stops, but again, when these leaders hit down pit road, that kind of will shake things up. But Peter, they could run this out for a while, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them do it, because they've probably got another 10 laps of fuel at least left in these cars, probably around there. So they could run it out a while, hoping for that caution before they come down. And if we did catch a caution before they pit, that catches a lot of those drivers that already did pit 1 lap down.
Well, that group that has already pitted, like Kevin Stone, like Carball, like Valvano, those drivers, they really needed to make sure they came out in a group with other cars. Jamar Dumas, Bob Giaquinto, Garrett Gleason, Steven Doziak, Jason Schue, they're all in the group. That's good news as the leaders finally start to peel down on to pit road this time. Jason Grossi is coming down. Looks like the 75 is Sobel coming down as Grossi lights up those tires, trying to get down to the pit lane speed. We'll see whether or not he gets a pit road speeding violation. That would be absolutely brutal for the number 1 Gracias as he gets into his pit stall. Did he overshoot his pit box? No, he did not. He's in his pit box. But now we wait and see whether or not he got a speeding penalty. No, he didn't. He's down and away. So good pit stop for the number 1. Look at that. Those drivers right there, they're showing us how it's done. They all came out as a group. Josh Sobel having some problems getting the Swamp Thing to behave, getting back up to speed, but hopefully he can get back up to speed in a hurry, because he's starting to lose that pack in front of him there, Mitchell.
Yeah, you got to come out of pit road in a group here on a plate track like Talladega. That's very, very important, and we see the gap here between Josh Sobel and those cars up in front of him. He really needs to close that gap up. Looking out as well, we have cars who did not pit. Philip Scott, the only car there in that lead pack who did not pit, so he's not put himself in a great position here. Running around the track right now with the 14 of Kevin Stone, the 29 of Keith Carbow, but both of them, well, they're not 1 lap down. They would be 1 lap down, though, if Philip Scott were to pass them here. So I think, as well, I believe both of them have made their pit stops already. So Philip Scott not going to be in a very good position here when he has to make his green flag stop, which is probably going to happen in the next handful of laps, since all the rest of his friends came down pit road. But yeah, the number 99 machine out there leading laps, but be very curious to see where he cycles out when all this is said and done. Any update as well on Jason Gracias, Peter, and his maybe having a penalty?
Yeah, no penalty on the number 1 machine, so he was able to get it woed up. just in time. Now, out of those drivers that just came off pit road, Jason Gracias has been able to stay out front. There's the number 50 of Bill Edwards, who's locked nose to tail with him. And then you see the number 17. Well, if you look at the scoring pile on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll probably go, where on earth is the number 17 currently? Well, you're going to have to look at the top of the screen, and the very back of the ticker, the very end of the ticker, you'll see that there is a number 17 machine, and that is Tristan Thuggy Maher there. He was involved in that accident we have to bring out caution flag number 2. So he's multiple laps down here. He's tagging along with this front pack. And Tristan Thuggy Maher right now doing a really good job of sticking with his front pack. And this has actually allowed this front group to have about a 1.5 second lead on the cars in front of him. Now, one thing I am noticing, though, Mitchell, this is a 3-car group. Philip Scott right now, he's in a, was in a 3-car group. Now he's all by his lonesome. Philip Scott has to come down pit road this time. He is bleeding time. Look at that. It's down to 23 seconds. Unless he somehow thinks he can make it on fuel, and that would be a miracle in and of itself. Let's look at his speed. 168. We saw speeds about 180 miles an hour in qualifying. I think Philip Scott's trying to go the distance here.
It's very possible, but at this point, you were already close on fuel. Now you don't have the draft to help you save, and you just lost about 3 or 4 seconds on that lap alone to Jason Gracias. I don't think, even if you can save enough fuel, you're going to hold that number 1 back for the next 9 laps. So I think at this point, really, he's going to lose a ton of position if he comes down. So he's kind of made his bet at this point either way. And you see there on that left-hand side of your screen, the time just continuing to be lost by Philip Scott. Already 2 seconds just since he crossed that start-finish line. So Jason Gracias will be there in probably the next 4 laps or so at this pace, at least as he continues to work with Bill Edwards, as those two separating themselves from the rest of the field. The pack behind them has 6 more cars, 5 or 6 more cars, I think, being led by Josh Sobel. Back to Jake Bustos there on your ticker. All these cars trying to work up to your second and third place cars at the moment here, as Philip Scott still out leading that race, and I think they are starting to close that gap now. There are a lot more of them, which we've talked about all night long, Peter. That never hurts to have more cars.
No, it definitely does not hurt to have more cars, and that group clearly closing in on the front 3, so we'll have these 8 drivers pulled together. But let's look at the difference between Philip Scott and Jason Gracias, as that group there has absolutely caught the group of 3. That will just help them close in on Philip Scott that much faster. But look at that, last time by, Philip Scott was 7.4 seconds slower. Don't adjust the graphic. Don't look any further. 7.4 seconds. That is absolutely huge. Philip Scott clearly trying to save fuel. I don't think it's going to do him any favors. I'll be perfectly honest with you. His strategy is completely shot, because this group here has all but caught him with just 7, still 7 laps to go. Even if Philip Scott ran at full speed, he doesn't have any drafting partners. His strategy is really, in my opinion, not the best one. It's a crazy one for sure, but now this pack has all formed up together, led by Jason Gracias, Bill Edwards, and the number 75 machine now of Joshua Sobel within 1 second of Philip Scott. And speaking of Philip Scott, there he is. He's just staying out of the way. He's made his bed, Mitchell. He's made his bed. He's going to have to try and form up with this group. I don't know if he's still going to have to save fuel or whatnot, but I don't know. The number 99, Philip Scott, does not look like he's going to go with back-to-back wins, unless he maybe gets another caution flag and come down, maybe top off with some fuel, but I think it's not looking very good for the number 99 right now. But let's focus on that front pack, because likely our winner's going to come from this pack now of 7.
And presumably with them running single file, that seems to be the way it is through the entire field. If we're going to get a caution, it's going to be out of these drivers here. But we could assume you're exactly right at this point that one of these drivers is going to win that race. Jason Grassi's led a lot of laps here. Bill Edwards, though, has been pushing drivers all night long. He's probably got a really good feel for that track, but can he get up and make that pass? That's going to be the question. Of course, he is leading that race of the comic book cars right now. He's got the Swamp Thing all up in his mirror there in third. This lead pack also about to catch more drivers here momentarily. You see there, I believe, the 64 Vincent Valvano there, the 18 Jimbo Casterline. Gonna get put one lap down, and that almost shuffled Jason Gracias out. I thought Bill Edwards was gonna get into the back of him, but they managed to sort that out and throw some lap cars here into this pack. That just adds a whole other variable to this race. You see Matthew Rodriguez get run up the track a little bit there at the back of this field, but your leaders managed to sort through it for now. But there goes the 97 Mike Floppy Tellier to the outside lane. 5 laps to go, coming to 4 to go, and they're starting to race now, Peter.
Yeah, 4 laps to go, just over 10 miles left here at the Talladega Super Speedway in the Stay Tuned Sports Comic Book Spectacular, round number 7 here of the 3-Wide TV Cup presented by Schue's Lawn Care Service. Here comes Tellier on that high line trying to get formed up. Got Jake Bustos behind him. A little bit of blinking there. David Durand Jr. in the number 5 at Terry Labonte-inspired throwback Chevy Camaro. Now all of a sudden everyone just dumps the number 97 Tellier all by his lonesome, now washing up the racetrack a little bit. He's going to have to regroup, reset, and recycle his way back up to the front of the field. Coming to 3 laps to go. Looks like Jake Bustos really trying to go by himself. I'm surprised I'm not seeing as much side drafting as I was expecting to see. Maybe these cars are just that unstable, Mitchell, that they don't want to side draft even inside 5 laps to go. I mean, it's go time here at Talladega. You got to try and make your move. Now, if you're wondering what's happened to Philip Scott, he has fallen 9 seconds behind the race lead. He's continuing to bleed time. He's falling into the clutches of Jamar Dumas in a hurry. Bob Giaquinto looks like might be in store for a top 10. That'd be good news for him. Garrett Gleason there in 11th. Stephen Doziak Jr. as Philip Scott starts to slide back through that group. Scott now outside of the top 10, but he has a long ways to fall if he wants to fall out of that. Tellier still looking on that high side, trying to get something going up there, but Bill Edwards, Josh Sobel, David Durand Jr., no one else really biting. I think it's going to take Sobel to make a move and hopefully get some buddies behind them. If anyone wants to dethrone that number 1 machine, Jason Gracias, he wins a lot here in the 3-Wide TV Cup. Maybe on track for another win in that Chevrolet up front.
Yeah, you see Mike Tellier still really trying to get something going there in the back of the pack. Jake Bustos finally going to go up to the outside lane with him. They know they've got to get that run going right now if they want to get there in the next lap and a half. But yeah, Jason Gracias still manages to hold that lead, but he's really at the mercy, Peter, of those drivers behind him. He's going to have to be prepared to block Bill Edwards if he jumps out. Oh, but the 74 contact sideways saves it out of turn 4. We stay green flag. That could have been a caution right there, but they continue to stay green flag, and your race leaders. Oh, caution flag is out though. And we are going to go to an overtime finish here, Peter. That happened really quickly.
Let's see what might have brought out the caution flag. I don't know what it might have been. This was a little bit... Oh, Philip Scott getting dumped by Tristan Thuggy Maher there on the backstretch. That's what brought out the caution flag. The lapped car there of Maher getting into the slower car of the number 99 to Philip Scott, who was saving fuel. That's enough to bring out the caution flag. We'll go to overtime here in the 3-Wide TV Cup. Now, all of a sudden, now the big question is, does the other drivers have enough fuel to make it to the end of the race? But yeah, boom, just like that into the outside. Well, not sure. Maybe Philip Scott ran out of fuel. We knew he was going to be close, but things going from bad to worse. Oh, there it is, on board with Maher there. Let's see if we can go back maybe one additional look. There we go. And yeah, just contacting up into the wall, just like that. Kind of an odd one for sure. Let's see if we can get one more look at it. Not a great look. Just caught his rear quarter panel, turned him straight up into the wall, and Well, Mitchell, that changes everything.
It really does. We were looking at that front group of cars. Those were going to be the drivers racing for the win, but now you've got 16 cars on the lead lap who all have a shot at this one in the overtime here at Talladega. I have to imagine Philip at least started sputtering or was feathering the throttle even more than he had been, because it was very unusual wreck, and Tristan Maher's not one to just get into the back of someone, so I have to imagine it had something to do with Philip Scott's fuel game, whether it was him running out or just feathering the throttle or something else. But I mean, that makes the race a whole lot more complicated for Jason Gracias up front, Peter, because before you're having to worry about Bill Edwards right behind you, and the rest of the field is single file on the inside lane. But now you've got everybody going to be lined up double file. I mean, just, it's worst case scenario if you're Jason Gracias up front.
Yeah, you're going to have the whole pack breathing down your back once we go back green flag here shortly on 3 Wide TV. Folks in the chat, what do you think? Do you think we'll have another caution flag come out here before the end of the night? Do you think we're done for the night when it comes to cautions? Do you think we'll have another attempt at a green-white checker here in just a little bit? I don't know. What do you think in the chat as the iRacing pace car lights continue to twinkle atop the iRacing Ford Mustang pace car? Ray Marie in the chat voted for the number 75 machine as well, just to add to the tally. I think everyone's a big fan of the Swamp Thing paint scheme here tonight. I'm not counting numbers, but I think the Swamp Thing Chevy Camaro by far has the fans in the chat here tonight. Will Ratcliffe was saying, Philip Scott had a pretty crazy idea. Speaking of Philip Scott, I was going to say, he got his caution flag, but Mitchell, he didn't want to be part of the caution flag.
Yeah, it kind of came at his expense, which was not what Philip Scott was wanting you to see. Of course, really that strategy, he was just struggling from there on out. That being involved in the caution, just kind of the cherry on top of a not great into this race for Philip. Of course, he is on the lead lap right now, running 14th, but a lot of damage on that race car. I think we're not likely going to see that 99 up here fighting for the win. Of course, I could be wrong. It's hard to tell until they go green how much damage he has on that car, and Tristan Maher also got a piece of that one. Don't know how much damage. He struggled with damage from earlier as well. You never know, as they are still having one more lap to go. This caution got extended by a lap, so everyone could get caught up, and we could get a great finish here at Talladega. Can't ask for much more than an overtime finish here, Peter, in my first venture back into the 3 Wide TV booth in a while. I think we're in store for a pretty good one here.
One thing I've seen on the couple of times we've had restarts here tonight, and even at the start of the race, Mitchell, is that some of the drivers have had difficulty getting going on these restarts. I'm wondering if that's going to happen here again, because we saw it at the beginning of the race. We saw it at the stage caution. We saw it after caution flag number 2. I just wonder if these drivers can get going. If they don't get going neatly, it could make for a very wild finish as all the drivers try and scramble to get up to speed. There's Garrett Gleason up inside the top 10. Where's our good friend Bob Giaquinto? Bob down in the 14th position now. We did have a few takers on pit road, if you're wondering at home. Mike Floppy Tellier in 11th on back came down pit road in some capacity. So Tellier, Stone, Schue, Bob Giaquinto, Andrew Beach, all pitted. Philip Scott came down and fixed a lot of damage. Jimbo Casterline also visited his pit crew as well. But then kind of all of the drivers inside the top 10, back to Stephen Doziak and Keith Carball there, those drivers did not stop. So if we have another green-white checker, things could change again. Our front 10 could run out of fuel. We just never really know. But the iRacing pace car lights have indeed stopped twinkling. That's good news, as we will see things out here tonight on 3 Wide TV in the 3 Wide TV Cup. Total On-Stop Racing League. Peter Short and Mitchell Adams on the call. Mitchell, I think it's going to get pretty wild. That's my personal opinion here as the pace car heads down pit road.
I completely agree with you. I don't think we have seen anything like we're about to see from these drivers here on this first attempt at the overtime restart. Jason Gracias has Josh Sobel behind him. That Swamp Thing machine's been fast all night long. Bill Edwards going to be pushed by David Durand, who we've seen up here at the front toward the end of the race. He's got a good car there, and in the restart zone, green flag waving, you see it there. Not a good start, though, for the Swamp Thing on the inside line. That is, again, not what Jason Gracias wanted to see at all. And there comes the run from Bill Edwards up in the high line, being pushed by David Durand. That 1 at 75 finally get hooked back up, but advantage Bill Edwards as they come out of turn 2.
Down the backstretch they come, 1.5 laps to go. Unless we get another caution flag, that high line is absolutely hooked up. Bill Edwards with a big push from the number 5 machine. Will Edwards drop to the inside of the racetrack in turn number 3 and 4. Someone going to the top side. I think that's Mike Floppy Taylor going 3 wide further back in the pack. Durand able to jump down to the bottom with Bill Edwards. We're coming to the white flag here at Talladega. Remember, the start-finish line is not in the middle of the tri-oval like Daytona. It is around the tri-oval towards turn number 1. Now Jason Gracias getting a good run. He's going to give a bump to David Durand. We are side by side for the race lead. White flag is out. Look at the number 75, Josh Sobel. What is Sobel going to do? Go up at the front of the field. Sobel in that number 75, bobbing and weaving. He's going to go with Jason Gracias. Durand now kind of thrown out as everyone now starting to scatter down the backstretch. Look at Matthew Rodriguez with a good run on the outside.
3, maybe 4 wide down the back straightaway here, and it is up front. Jason Gracias side by side with Matthew Rodriguez. Where did Rodriguez come from here on this final lap? Through 3 and 4, Jason Gracias trying down the inside. There goes the 74 machine, though. Jake Bustos up the inside lane. Contact between your leader Sobel around. Big wreck behind him as they race through the tri-oval.
3 wide coming to the line, beating and banging, photo finish at Talladega. It's Gracias who gets it by just the nose. Here at Dega, the whole field wrecking out back. We saw a whole bunch of carnage, but Gracias, Bustos, and Rodriguez coming across the line. Less than 1/100th of a second separate the top 3. Well, what a finish. I can't say I've seen one quite like that in a while here at Dega. Wow.
Jason Gracias thought he was in big trouble there. Didn't get the help on the restart he needed. Lost the lead. Then on the white flag lap, makes aggressive moves to get back up to the front of this pack. They wrecked behind him. It was a drag race to the line. And he's going to come out on top by 6/1000ths of a second over Jake Bustos. And here we go on that 3-wide TV replay. Just contact everywhere behind him. Everybody wrecked except for these top 3 cars, and other drivers made it out behind him. There you see it, Peter. Drag race 3 wide to the line, and they were beating and banging all the way there.
Unfortunately, I think the Swamp Thing was involved in that accident out back. There goes the number 3 of Jason Schue going around. But don't get to bring this camera out very often, folks, but this is the 3-wide TV photo finish cam. There is your winning moment here at Talladega Superspeedway. Just about a front clip of those 3 cars, separating them. Gracias getting the win. That contact there with Jake Bustos, pushing him all the way down below that yellow line. And Matthew Rodriguez coming up just a little bit short there at the top of your screen. But that is going to be one pretty picture here in the 3-wide TV trophy books. That is for sure. Let's see, though. Of course, Jason Gracias always knows how to burn it down here on the front stretch. Let's see if he's still celebrating. Sure enough, he is. I'll tell you what a fantastic race here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway, as Jason Gracias taking the win for all the fans at home. I can't wait to hear from those top 3 finishers there right at the end of the race, Mitchell. They were beaten. They were banging. Photo finish. Jason Gracias with the win. going to be a lot of fun to hear what they all have to say in just a little moment. So let's see if we can actually start off with tonight's third place finisher, driver of the number 57 machine.
Damn.
Oh, hey, brought you in with a hot mic there, Matthew. Calm down there, bud. No, I'm just kidding. Well, it was a hot mic and all that stuff, but don't calm down.
Sorry.
Third place, man. A great race for you here tonight. It kind of came out of nowhere there at the end. I mentioned at one point earlier in the night that all of a sudden you pop up on these super speedways, usually fairly late, and I thought you had this one in the bag there coming through turn number 3 and 4. Walk us through that run to the checkered.
So did I. I got this second wind out of nowhere. The 74 just kind of pushed me on along, and I was all happy. And out of 3, I think if I would have arced all the way down, I probably would have had it. And the moment that the 74 got below me, I knew that it was pretty much game over. I don't know if I came down into the 74. I'm pretty sure I did, or the 74 came up, but I ended up hitting him, and that slowed down our momentum just enough for Gracias to get such a run. I was kind of side by side with Gracias, man, this brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah, that dive that Bustos did underneath you, and then that beating and banging, but really some good hard battles. That it really seemed like this car was not super stable here tonight, but put on a good show for the fans. How was it driving from your perspective?
Unlike most people in the field today, I had 0 laps of practice, 2 laps of qualifying him, and the entire first half of the race was my get to know it period. We'll say it's a lot different than anything else in the service. I'm not used to this. I remember I lifted out of 2, and the back end stepped out, and I thought I was going to wreck. I've never had that feeling in a car before. So, for these guys who race this car week in and week out, I mean, that's crazy that you have to deal with that.
Yeah, this current Cup car definitely comes with some little niggly things that you kind of have to deal with, but nonetheless, great result for you here tonight at Talladega. What is it about these Super Speedway races? Do you think it's your patience that you have here at these joints that you always seem to find yourself up towards the front, at least when the car has all 4 wheels on it?
Honestly, I found I do the best of these races whenever I want to end up. For me, whenever I come into one of these fun races where I don't race TNR that often, and I come here for fun. For me, it's if I wreck out, it's a win because I get to go eat dinner. And if I end up staying and having a good race, it's still a win for me because I stayed here and had fun. So I'd love to say it's patience. I'd like to say it's like a lucky rabbit foot, but honestly, I just kind of get lucky.
Well, as long as you're having fun, that's the name of the game here. At least that's what the name of the game should be here in sim racing. Not sure if it always pans out that way. People could be coming to blows when it comes to sim racing every once in a while. But nonetheless, good run for you here tonight. And now you get to go eat that dinner that you're talking about. But Matthew, before we let you go, any shout outs you'd like to give out?
Obviously, 3Y TV. I cannot wait to go back and watch this. I'm going to have some deja vu and kind of some cringy moments where, man, I could have done something just a little bit differently. Also like to apologize for coming in on a hot mic, not the not the entrance that you want.
Hey, don't worry.
Probably should thank Dylan Body for giving me a paint scheme 30 minutes before I actually need to be in without a number on it and then having to get the number on. Obviously, Dylan Body, Team Trap House, and Mike Tellier for keeping me entertained.
Mike is definitely one to keep people entertained, that's for sure. I've been able to say that now for almost 20 years of my life, so it'll probably be 20 years here in about 4 years from now, maybe even less than that. But nonetheless, Matthew, congratulations on third place here, and hope to see you again back here in TNR soon.
I hope I will be.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for tonight's third place finisher, Matthew Rodriguez. Now, to go down to second place, Jake Bustos Mitchell, just a little fraction of a car short.
Yeah, Jake Bustos, second place, so close to the win here tonight. Man, you made the move under Matthew Rodriguez out of 4. I thought that was going to be the race-winning move, but in the end, just 6/1000ths of a second short. Just take us through that overtime restart from your perspective there, and anything else you think maybe you could have done differently in that finish.
Goodness, I hope it looked as good on TV as it did in the cockpit. We took that restart. I had a really strong line on the outside. I think I had Bill and David, I think, with me, and the inside line was a little disorganized coming out of 2, and I gave the 5 a really good shot, and we all pulled clear of the leaders from there, and then uh, we had someone else come through with a run, and it got a little shuffled out, and then going into 3, I was behind 57. We cleared Jason. I'm really happy that 57 stayed with me. Appreciated to him, but I was able to dive down, get my nose underneath them, and we made contact coming out of 4, which killed the momentum. I saw Jason coming, and the only thing I really could have did different is just throwing a harder block on Jason, but I really didn't want to wreck all of us. So after that, it was just a drag race, and then just leaning on Jason, trying to knock him down to second.
And you came awfully close to it again here tonight, and it was a good race all race long for us here. It was definitely exciting finish to watch, and all race, really, you guys put on a show here. I kept expecting that aggression to pick up, and even there coming toward the last laps before we got the overtime finish, it was kind of single filed out. Was it kind of you all just trying to keep your cars clean toward the end, or how difficult were they to wheel here tonight? 'Cause me and Peter both kind of noticed they looked like a bit of a handful out there on the racetrack.
You could definitely feel it get a little light when you were trying to make moves with too much wheel input in it. But a lot of the guys that were in the lead pack run together all the time, and I was kind of by myself up there, so I kept trying to throw runs to the outside to see who was going to go with me, and it seemed like everyone was okay with being pillow princesses on the bottom. But it is what it is. That's super speedway racing, and we got a little racy at the end, but just a testament to the drivers that we didn't have a lot of yellows.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great round again for you here tonight, and you went from 12th to 2nd on the night. I know that kind of Talladega always fluctuates here. You're on a string of second place finishes, though, last week as well. Looks like here Sonoma, you came in second place according to Sim Racer Hub. So you're on a good streak here in the 3 Wide TV Cup Series. How do you think you're going to keep this momentum rolling here into the next couple races?
It's just, I guess, here being in the right place at the right spot. I don't know, I don't like to toot my own horn or anything, but I usually feel like I find myself in a position to win these things coming down to the last couple laps. But yeah, we've had a really good stretch here in TNR. I think before I went on vacation, I think I went third, second to open the year, and then came back from training and went second. So maybe one day I'll stop being a bridesmaid and get that win here.
Oh, we're certainly looking forward to you doing that. Keep watching you try. If you keep finishing second place, eventually you're going to get that one extra position for sure. But before I let you go here, I'll give you a second to give any shout outs you'd like to while we've got you in the booth.
I definitely got to thank you guys over here at 3 Wide TV. You guys always put on fantastic broadcasts. Love going and watching them afterwards. And the guys over here at TNR, Garrett and Floppy and everyone else that's in charge behind the scenes, just putting on good driving. And the racers here, there's definitely some talent up here. There's usually, 7, 8, 9 guys every week that come out that you just don't know if they're going to get the win or not. And then I just got to thank DJ Weeks. He's my man behind the scenes, my crew chief, my spotter. He was out there giving me some calls from the top behind during this race.
Well, definitely glad you came out here tonight. Glad to see you back here, and hopefully maybe get to see you more up front here and maybe get that one extra position here in the coming weeks.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. You all take care.
All right, well, that's going to do it for tonight's runner-up, Jake Bustos in the number 74 machine. Now it is time to go down to victory lane. However, where the winner of tonight's race, Jason Gracias, has made his way finally. Jason, holy smokes there, led on that restart, got shuffled back, and then like a bull in a china shop, somehow forced your way three wide through the middle, beating and banging, photo finish here at Dega. Walk us through it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I haven't had this much fun on a plate track in a long time. I just gotta say thanks to everybody in the TNR chat that we that race tonight. between Sobel, Bill Edwards was there, Floppy, Phillip, Tristan, David Durand. I know I'm missing somebody, but we all worked together as a team. I know Sobel didn't get the best of starts. It looks like he spun his tires, but when he got back to me, he was committed to my bumper. There's a couple of times I got loose there, and I got to thank him a lot for that. And I feel bad for David. I told David to go high so we can get a run on Bill. And he did it, but he just didn't come back down. So I kind of feel bad for leaving him out to dry, but when last lap, I guess you do what you got to do. So awesome race, a lot of fun. No big ones till the end. I think that's the way you want to have it at a super speedway. I know Jake came up a little bit to knock my rundown, but when he did that, it kind of shot the car to the right a little bit, so I had to turn the wheel left, and from there we were just hooked. And thankfully, I got the good end of this one. I've been on the losing end of a couple this year, so happy for this one.
Yeah, definitely on the good end of this one here tonight. But going back, looking at that restart, what was going through your head when that caution flag flew inside 3 laps to go, and when you knew that you had to kind of see that one out, and knowing you'd have a hard charging pack now behind you?
Well, to be honest with you, I thought Garrett hired Bill France to come back. I thought he was done partying, came back, and threw a caution at the televised time.
Yeah,
so.
Probably. Bill France always throwing those the CD cautions.
Yeah, but no, my concern was I knew coming to that restart, I didn't pit the top off, so under green, I was the Pied Piper of that pack, so I was burning more fuel. And coming to pit road, also because I burned more fuel, when I filled up, I took a little bit less to maintain my track position. I think everyone took 3.6. I did too. But I think everyone had maybe half a gallon more than I did. So my concern was, how am I going to save enough for multiple green, white checkers? And thankfully, there was only one. So it just worked out in my favor.
Well, it definitely worked out in your favor here at Talladega Super Speedway, and add another W to the win column for you here, Jason, in the Total Nonstop Racing League. Now winner of quite a few races overall since the league has come back. But, kind of looking forward on the schedule, we got some really good races coming up for everyone at home here on 3 Wide TV. As the season continues on, starting with the next race, Iowa Speedway, a short track, at least one of my favorites, always puts on a good show. What are your thoughts about going to Iowa next week?
I'm going to miss next week, unfortunately. I will be watching my godkids all week. So sad to miss that. But Iowa's a fun track. It races pretty well. People who are good at Richmond should do well there. So sleeper pick, or not really a sleeper pick, but my pick to win would probably be that 17 car. I think it'll be sneaky fast, but I'm hoping to be back the week after that and try to keep this hot streak going.
Well, definitely, it's going to be a fun one. It'll be disappointing that we won't see you there, Jason, but hope to see you again the following week at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give out tonight?
Yeah, thanks to Chris Darling, Bagcraft for the always fire paint schemes. Thanks to Jimbo for sponsoring this race. The comic book spectacular. I do apologize for not having a comic book car. I just didn't have time to get Chris to make one. Life got in the way. Thanks to Jason Schue through ITV for being presenting sponsors. Thanks to Garrett for the league. And once again, just thanks to everybody that hung out with in the TNR chat tonight. We all worked great together. We all had a blast. Mike, Matt, Thuggy, Phillip, Bill, Sobel, myself, and David Durand. We had a blast. We tried to work together as much as we could. I know we tried to make it as exciting as we could for the people at home. And last but not least, thanks to everybody at home that came in and watched and liked the video and commented, and that's going to subscribe, and it's going to share this video tomorrow so we get more clicks. And did you guys pick a winner for the best paint scheme? Because my vote goes to 75, but I think you might have closed the poll already.
No, the poll is open. You just have to vote in the chat. But I'll tell you what, I don't think the 75 needs your vote. I think when Jimbo tallies at the end of the night, I think there was a pretty clear winner. But Jimbo is in charge of tallying the votes. But I think it was pretty lopsided to the Swamp Thing. And although unfortunately the Swamp Thing got wrapped up in that wreck right there, which we're gonna play back here in just a second. But Jason, congrats on the win here tonight.
Yeah, thanks, guys, and I hope everybody comes out next week when we put on another good show.
Absolutely. Well, folks, that's going to do it from Victory Lane with the driver of the number 1 machine, Jason Gracias, taking home the dub here at the Talladega Super Speedway. Mitchell, we did want to kind of go back and see what all that craziness was there on that final lap. See if maybe we can see what happened here. Maybe we can. No, you know what? I think my software has frozen, which is ironically not the... In fact, can I even bring up the final race results? No, I cannot. iRacing has just done an update just a little while ago, and yeah, it's just completely frozen my iRacing live timing. So let me see if I can restart it. Bear with me, folks. Bear with me just a moment. Maybe I can restart it, although I think it's going to lose. Yeah, you know what? It's going to lose, unfortunately, quite a bit of information. Yeah, it even lost all the final race results. So that was a bad idea. Shouldn't have done that. But now I got nothing in terms of going back and replaying. Well, maybe I can do this kind of the manual way. You know, sometimes when things break down, you just have to go with the flow, and you have to show people from some behind the scenes stuff. So, poof, up comes the GUI, and well, let's see if we can go backwards. Let's see if we can go backwards here, because I want to see what happened there on the final lap to like half the field. They all kind of ended up wrecking. So this was them. Let's speed it up a little bit more. That's what race cars sound like at very fast speeds. They make that sound. But it all kind of kicked off right here. Bill Edwards in the number 50 machine. You see him right there on the left-hand side of your screen, racing with Robert Tripp. Looks like Bill Edwards and Robert... Assuming that wasn't Robert Tripp. That was the number 88 machine. Right there of Andrew Beach, rather. They get together, and then they come back down the racetrack right in front of the field. There's where the Swamp Thing got collected. Number 75 there, Josh Sowell. In fact, I think it was just a slew of the comic book cars here right at the end of the race, and they all kind of got spun around up into the wall. That's a tough break for 88 to 50 to 75 and company. So that's what happened a little bit further back in the pack, unfortunately, for those drivers. All right, well, we're going to have to bring up the old school race results. There on the left-hand side of your screen, you can absolutely see them. You actually probably can't because they're tiny. But let's go through the final race results here tonight. Jason Gracias taking home the win. Jake Bustos finishing second. Matthew Rodriguez coming home in third on the podium. Steven Doziak Jr. out of nowhere. The Fruit Stripe number 55 finishes in fourth. Bob Giaquinto, how about that? 3-wide TV zone finishing inside the top 5. David Durand finishing in 5th. Kevin Stone, 7th. Keith Carball in 8th in the number 29 machine. Jamar Dumas in 9th. Mike Floppy Tellier rounding out our top 10. Philip Scott's fuel strategy did not work out, finishing 11th. Bill Edwards, 12th. Joshua Sobel in the number 75, finishing 13th. Garrett Gleason, 14th. Jason Schue in 15th. Andrew Beach in 16th. Robert Tripp, 1 lap down, 17th. Jimbo Casterline, 18th, 1 lap down. Jeff Price, also 1 lap down in 19th, not able to overcome pit road speeding penalty, I believe. Vincent Valvano finishing 4 laps down in 20th, and rounding out our field, Tristan Thuggy Maher in the number 17 machine. But a tough break here. Mitchell, great race here at Talladega and great finish.
Definitely was great race. Amazing finish here tonight, and we had 16 cars still on the lead lap by the time we got to the end of it. We saw the big one there right at the end of the race, and in the end, Jason Gracias made the right moves on that final lap, got himself back into victory lane again this season. But so many drivers came so close, and like I said, he's not going to be there next week, so gonna have another different winner next week, and you'll have to tune in right here on 3 Wide TV if you want to see that race from Iowa.
Yeah, that's right. 8:05 Eastern Time right here on 3 Wide TV. But folks, thanks for tuning in here tonight, and thanks for voting in the chat for your favorite comic book scheme. We had quite a few voters here tonight. Joshua Sobel saying sad racing noises right there at the end with him getting wrecked out, but I think by far that number 75 was the favorite scheme based off of at least eyeballing the numbers that we had here in the chat. But thank you all for joining us here on 3 Wide TV. Want to give a big shout out to Stay Tuned Sports for sponsoring tonight's race. There's a link to their Podbean in the description here tonight. Not only a race sponsor, but a series sponsors here in the TNR series. Bagcraftcornhole.com as well. Thornton Graphix and Dunn Raceway Park. DRPRC.com. Hard to say, DRPRC.com. But you can go check them out. Indoor off-road racing track in Old Forge, Pennsylvania. So thank you for our series sponsors. And of course, Schue's Lawn Care Service as well for our presenting sponsor of the 3 Wide TV Cup. But folks, until we meet again here on the channel, stay safe and all that good stuff. And we shall see ya.